On April 24, 1982, a teenage girl's lifeless body was discovered floating in the murky waters of Washington's Green River, a grim signal that a hidden predator was stalking the shadows of the Pacific Northwest. That single shocking find would ignite the longest, most costly homicide investigation in American history, eventually unmasking Gary Leon Ridgway, later known as the Green River Killer, as a man whose darkness stretched far beyond any single crime scene. Born on February 18, 1949 in Salt Lake City, Utah, Ridgway grew up in a turbulent household marked by an alcoholic father and a mother who vanished from his life when he was just 15. He moved to the Seattle area in his early 20s, taking low-paid jobs, drifting through a series of relationships, and spending nights in the city's seedy underbelly. By the late 1970s, a pattern began to emerge. Young women, many of them runaways, sex workers, or vulnerable runaways from troubled homes, vanished without a trace. Their bodies were later found, often half buried along the riverbanks, their throats slit, and their lives erased in a methodical, chilling routine. The Green River investigation, dubbed Operation Green River, consumed the Seattle Police Department, the King County Sheriff's Office, and eventually the FBI. Over the next decade, investigators uncovered the remains of at least 49 victims, though Ridgway would later claim responsibility for 71 murders, a number that remains the highest confirmed tally of any American serial killer. The case was plagued by limited forensic technology, a lack of coordinated databases, and a community fearful to speak, allowing the killer to operate with terrifying impunity. A breakthrough came in the early 2000s, when DNA analysis had finally advanced enough to match biological evidence to a suspect's profile. In 2001, forensic scientists linked Ridgway's DNA to a semen sample recovered from a 1984 victim. Simultaneously, a former prostitute named Tammy Jones, who had been a key witness in the original investigation, recognized Ridgway's voice on a recorded police interview. The convergence of DNA evidence and eyewitness identification gave prosecutors the leverage they had long lacked. Ridgway was arrested on June 30, 2001, and initially denied any involvement, claiming he was merely a friend of the victims. However, faced with incontrovertible forensic proof, he entered a plea bargain in February 2003, in exchange for sparing the families the agony of a protracted trial and providing detailed information that could locate additional remains. Ridgway agreed to plead guilty to 48 counts of aggravated murder, effectively admitting to a staggering majority of the Green River killings. The courtroom drama of the 2003 trial was starkly different from a typical murder prosecution. With the plea bargain already sealed, the proceedings became a somber accounting of the horror that had unfolded over 2 decades. Ridgway, seated in the dock, appeared almost detached, his expression a blank canvas as the prosecutor, King County's Chris R. Garvey, read aloud the chilling specifics of each crime. He described how Ridgway lured women to his home or a remote location with promises of money or shelter, then strangled them, often revisiting the scene to perform necrophilic acts. The prosecutor's voice, steady yet reverent, echoed through the courtroom as he called on the families of victims, still grieving, still searching for closure, to listen to the confession that would finally name their lost loved ones. Key to the prosecution's case were the forensic breakthroughs. DNA recovered from a condom on a victim's body matched Ridgway's profile with a probability of 1 in several trillion. Fibers from his truck matched those found on several victims, and a distinctive shoe imprint at a crime scene corresponded exactly to his boots. The evidence painted a portrait not of a random act, but of a calculated, repeat offender driven by a perverse need to dominate and destroy. When the plea was entered, Ridgway's sentencing was swift but symbolic. The judge imposed 48 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, ensuring that Ridgway would spend the remainder of his days behind steel bars at the Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla. In a rare moment of contrition, Ridgway offered a brief statement. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I did. I've done this for a long time and I'm sorry." His words, muffled and half-hearted, could not erase the enormity of his crimes but served as an official closure for many of the families who had waited decades for justice. The aftermath of the trial rippled through both the criminal justice system and the public consciousness. The Green River case catalyzed sweeping reforms. Law enforcement agencies adopted more sophisticated DNA databases, implemented nationwide alerts for missing persons, and instituted specialized units dedicated to serial offenses. Victim advocacy groups gained a stronger voice, pressing for better support services for families of the missing. In the realm of popular culture, the case inspired books, documentaries, and true crime podcasts, cementing Ridgway's infamy in the annals of American criminal history. Yet perhaps the most profound legacy lies in the unanswered questions that persist. Even after Ridgway's confession, investigators continue to search for the remains of the estimated 22 victims still unaccounted for, hoping to give closure to families who have endured decades of uncertainty. The case also sparked a national conversation about how society treats its most vulnerable members, runaways, sex workers, and those on the margins, recognizing that the invisibility of these individuals had, in part, allowed a monster to thrive undetected. Today, Gary Ridgway spends his days in solitary confinement, his name forever etched as a symbol of unimaginable evil. Subscribe to The Verdict for more stories like this.